Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Prime Answers. It has been a while. This is actually our first Prime Answers episode of February. And yeah, there's a lot to go over. Lots of questions. I've got, 4 pages of questions here. But before we get into the questions, as always, Prime Answers starts out by talking a little bit about the state of the channel. And I guess there's a lot to go over. A lot of this I've addressed in live streams and stuff like that. But it's been one hell of a month here at Nintendo Prime. This is by far one of the roughest months I have personally had creating content for the channel. A lot of this was originally due to weather. We've had negative 50-degree weather for an entire week. Then we got hit with like 4 feet of snow in a week. Power was being knocked out at the house. My kids were, not having school out, having a bunch of school out days, which meant I had to watch my kids all day because I do work from home. So if the kids don't have school, well, the parent who works from home is going to have to take care of them, while the parent who doesn't work from home doesn't. So I just wasn't able to put in the hours I normally would put into it. A lot of things got affected because of this. Obviously, daily video content slowed down. We still got almost a video out every single day this month, but we were at 2 to 3, and that really slowed down a lot. Live streams really slowed down a lot. We didn't have a podcast last week, although there is a podcast coming up here on Mondays, so that's back to normal. Our op-ed editorials haven't been here the last couple weeks. We're going to have 3 of them for this next week, so kind of making up for the last 2 weeks, and then the one that we're supposed to do this week. We're supposed to have an episode of Side Quest this past week because we hit our $400 stretch goal on Patreon this past week, and that didn't happen. So now there's gonna be 2 episodes of Side Quest this week. That's already 5 pieces of content right there that I just owed to you guys, especially our patrons who pay for this content, and then 6 if you include the podcast. And then that's almost a week's worth of content there without even getting into individual news videos. Prime News is coming back. I know we had a Prime News episode 2 weeks back, but we didn't have one this last week because on Friday, that was basically me and my fiance's Valentine's Day because she worked on Valentine's Day. So I essentially took Friday off. There was a Daemon X Machina impression video that went up, but that was all done the day before. So yeah, we have a lot to go through with that. It's obviously been one of the worst months for revenue, worst months in general in terms of viewership, and that's not your guys' fault. That's my fault. That is all the stuff happening in my life converged with me not having the time to put into this job or any other job. For those out there that may be thinking, well, it's time for you to go get a real job. I wouldn't have been able to work my real job either because my kids didn't have school. So you might be like, well, put them in daycare. A lot of the daycares were closed. A lot of places were closed. It's been pretty rough in Wisconsin the past couple of weeks. Things are returning to normal, though, which means this upcoming week I'll be back on a normal schedule. I just have a lot of content to make besides our news videos. So expect a very busy week of content ahead. And look at that. Watch it get dark. Isn't it funny how cameras work? Anyways. That's really all I have to talk about, I guess, is just reassuring you guys that everything is okay. Yeah, revenue is going to be low for February. There isn't much I can do about that. Things are still fine at the channel. We're still growing. We're still gaining subscribers. Everything's fine. And hey, we had a Nintendo Direct this past week. That's pretty fun, huh? But because I didn't put up any new posts for Prime Answers, we don't have any questions related to the Direct. I'm sure we'll have some for next week. But let's just get into your questions and get this episode going. After all, I got a lot of content to make here. The first question, actually, you know what? I'm going to skip to the Patreon questions first. And they all come from Corey Bohm. And he says, will Nintendo be successful in selling 2.52 million Switch consoles before March 31st? And that's their current projection. Probably. I think they're going to hit that. I know they don't really have any content coming, right? Like Yoshi at the end of next month is pretty much it for the rest of this fiscal quarter. But I think that the Direct itself did a lot of reassurance for some people that if they want to play Yoshi, they might just pick it up because of other stuff coming. Now, I personally don't think you should pick up a Switch or any system until it already has enough games to justify your purchase. But that being said, I think there'll be enough trickle-down sales to hit that number. Remember, these are worldwide numbers. This isn't just like they have to sell this in Japan or they have to sell this in the U.S. So, yeah, I think they'll end up hitting those numbers. Let me see here. Corey Bohm then says, how much have I overclocked my Switch, and by how much did my global smash power increase as a result? I think this came out because people, the hacking community, has been overclocking Switches and just seeing what they can run at. Not just running it at its base clock speed, but pushing it past that. And this has been able to be done actually for quite some time, but the hacking community has been experimenting with it lately, and it's interesting. You've been able to get some interesting results and get some really high performance. Unfortunately, cooling's always going to be your limiting factor, and running things at base clock speed or overclocked for long periods of time, the cooling is likely not adequate. They're just copper heat pipes with a very small thin array and one dinky fan. So chances are the cooling, there's a reason that Nintendo downclocked things a little bit, because they need to worry about the longevity of the platform and not burning out the chip by overheating it. So yeah, and plus, remember the whole Bengate thing, which probably came from overheating. So, yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to run your Switch at overclock speeds. But, no, I have not done it myself. I don't plan to do it. I've not hacked my Switch. The only thing I've ever done is replace the backplate, and I have to do that again. Mostly because my son broke the kickstand. So, it's going to be his Switch eventually. My launch Switch is going to be his, and I'm going to end up getting a new Switch. But that's down the line a little bit now. So, that being said, you also said if I haven't, obviously my global smash power hasn't increased at all because I didn't, overclocking your Switch isn't gonna increase your global smash power. I'm sure it was a joke question. Let me see here. He also says, why isn't Eric on the Nintendo Prime Discord? So I talked to him about it actually this week a little bit, and all he really had to say is he'll get to it when he gets to it. He doesn't frequent Discord, to be fair, so he's not on there a lot, but he knows that people would like him to be present, and that when he is on Discord, that being able to chime in with people would be good. I also told him since he wants to, by summer, help me in writing news on the NintendoPrime.net website. Well, a lot of you guys share links in the outside link section. If you're a patron, you can do that. And some of that's news, and he could find news there without having to do much work and be able to get that up. So I do think he will gradually come to the Discord server. He's just not – he's a busy guy, okay? For those who don't know, Eric works 2 other jobs. Okay, so he's got his full-time day job that he works 9 to 5, literally 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and then he works a part-time job where he does setup and teardown of weddings and different events at this hotel. He does that part-time, so there's that he's also sometimes putting in 20 hours a week in. So he's really, really busy, and then he somehow still finds time to do the Nintendo Prime podcast. Unfortunately, the Nintendo Prime podcast has made it so Eric and I don't really get time to hang out besides the podcast. That's been kind of the pitfall of the podcast Be Weekly is, we don't really hang out now. But I'm busy and he's busy, so I don't know when we would make hanging out happen anyways. Outside of on a random weekend when maybe he comes to the park with me and my kids or something. All right. What else we got here? He says, has the polar vortex caused Wisconsin to have record levels of snowfall in February? No. We don't have, well, I'm not going to say all parts of Wisconsin don't have record levels, but here we don't have record levels. Apparently, there's been higher snowfall in some years before I was born. I was born in 1986, so apparently before I was born, there was some heavier snowfall in February before. But I think it's a record for the most amount of snow to fall in a week. I could be wrong on that too. I think I remember once as a kid. I don't know if it was in February though. I remember once as a kid. When we opened the door to go outside, the snowfall was over my head as a kid. But I don't think that was in February. I think that was way back in November or something. So, yeah, it's a lot of snow. It's a lot of snow. And then Corey Bone also asked, where did the shirts go and why were the hangers left behind? So in the background of a lot of my news videos and my live streams, because it's right over here on the wall. I've got, 6 shirts that are hung up. One of them is my Giannis Antetokounmpo jersey. Usually doesn't show up because it's off camera. But then there's Nintendo Prime shirts or Waluigi and a Smash Bros shirt up right now. I think I actually have a Zelda Informer shirt hanging up. Kind of kicking it old school there to my old days running that. Yeah, what happened is, one, the shirts get worn sometimes. So especially the Nintendo Prime podcast shirts, those get rotated in, and then sometimes I forget to hang them back up. 2, my kids were in here messing around, and they took off all the shirts, and then they actually took off all the hangers, and they were playing with the hangers in the other room, in the playroom, and then when I had them clean up one day, they brought the hangers back in, and then they hung them all back up without shirts on them. I went to hung them back up without shirts on them, but there's shirts on them now, as you guys have probably seen in a couple recent videos, so yeah, I just need to do a better job rotating shirts. If I take down a shirt, put a shirt back up. I have, I probably, between Nintendo Prime shirts and just some random video game shirts or Zelda shirts. I have a lot of Zelda shirts. I probably have a couple dozen shirts I could rotate up there, but whatever. Thank you so much for your questions, my man. All right, let's get back to the beginning and go to the questions we have from YouTube. Sonic Forces 2017 said, is Skate 4 in the works? If not, do you think it'll ever be in the works? I don't think it's in the works, and I think the franchise is dead, but I could be wrong on that front. I'm not really big into the skate games and don't pay a lot of attention, but I personally don't think it's in the works. Then Sonic Forces 2017 also said, do I have a favorite Sonic game? Man, that's a good question. I'm not sure that I've ever thought about what my favorite Sonic game might be. I mean, I really like Sonic Lost World on Wii U. I like that a lot more than a lot of other people did. But this is my favorite. I mean, I have a lot of fond memories of the original Sonic or Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Man. Plus, there was that Sonic game. I don't remember what it was called on Game Gear that was really good. Maybe it was just a port of the Genesis games. I don't know. So I'm going to, because of the second question you have, I'm just going to go with Sonic Lost World for now because I really like Sonic Lost World. To me, it's like the Mario Galaxy of Sonic games. Even though there's a couple of levels in there that are kind of probably shouldn't have existed. And then his next question is, what was the first Sonic game I ever played? That would have been Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the Sega Genesis. Next up, Joel Putz says, I subbed to the $5, but I don't know if it's through the Patreon page. Is there a difference? So you would know if it was through the Patreon page because you literally have to go to our Patreon page to sub. So I'm guessing that your $5 sub is actually the membership. When you hit that join button on our live streams, maybe it appears on certain videos now too. When you hit the join button, and that's $5, that makes you a member of our YouTube channel. What that enables you to do is have a special icon by your name, and it's the Nintendo Prime logo, but it'll change colors for you depending on how long you've been a member for. I think it changes, like there's new to 3 months, and then 3 months to 6 months, 6 months to a year plus, etc. And then after that, you also get to use exclusive emojis in our live streams. So, and you get access to our Discord server as well, access to the private channels on the Discord server. So, I think that's not the same as Patreon, of course, but there are some perks there that Patreon doesn't have. So. I'm glad that you're a member, though. I appreciate the support. The 8th Thark says, will you heat dry shrink your clothes purposefully when you see results in your fitness regime to save money on new clothes? Will I heat dry shrink my clothes? I already heat dry every piece of clothing I have, so it already shrinks after the first wash. So I can't, if they don't shrink any further. So no. That's an unfortunate side effect. What's nice is when I start losing weight, I have clothes still that I will fit back into. I have several, like right now I wear like double X shirts. Eventually I'll fit back into XL, then I'll fit back into my large shirts. I still have a lot of those. Unfortunately, obviously the double X ones will have to start being retired a bit. The podcast shirts I think are all double XL. But it is what it is. I'll just have to get some new Nintendo Prime merch in here. I'm not going to complain about that. So, nope. As for results, my weight has kind of started to stagnate. Like I'm not gaining weight, but I'm not losing weight anymore. That's to be expected because my workouts are not super insane yet. What is happening when the tax return shows up, though, is I am going on a diet. It's a diet I have done before, so it's a diet I know I can do. I did it for a 5-month period about 6 years ago, and I ended up losing like 75 pounds from it. And I didn't have to give up all the foods I love. Like I didn't have to give up pizza. I didn't have to give up tacos. I didn't have to give up fast food per se, even though I'm obviously having less of it. But basically, it's one of those protein shake diets where you have. So I take these pills that are just supplement pills, and then in addition to 2 of my meals are replaced by protein shakes. So usually I do breakfast because that's the easy meal for me to replace. I usually skip breakfast anyways, so replacing breakfast with that. And then you'll have 5 snacks throughout the day that are 100 calories each. And I change it up between veggies, fruit, maybe a protein bar here or something like that. And then 1 normal meal. That normal meal can be whatever. Obviously they don't suggest like pounding down a whole pizza or something like that, but even if you did pound down a whole pizza, because you're having so few calories throughout the day, but you're still providing your body substance, you end up still losing weight, just not losing it as quickly as you might want. The sad thing is I'm probably going to do a morning shake and a lunch shake because there's this new habit now where I cook dinner for my fiance after work or have it ready for her when she's done with work. And we've been really enjoying that time together, just sitting down and having a meal together because we don't get that during other parts of the day because of the kids or whatever else is going on with my work or her work. So I'm going to continue to do that. So since I'm going to continue to do that, that's going to be my meal. So I'm going to have a shake for breakfast and a shake for lunch, and I'll probably pile all my snacks in. I'll probably do 1 snack between breakfast and lunch, and then I'll have my 4 other snacks between lunch and dinner because lunch and dinner is a huge gap because she gets home about 10:20. So if I'm eating at 10:20, 10:30 at night, and my last meal was at noon or 1 o'clock, like that's a huge gap. So all my snacks will be spread out in between there, but that'll be okay. They always say it's better to have those small snacks over that kind of time period, anyways. So it'll be okay. I'll be okay. It's going to be rough. The first few days are always rough as you're adjusting from eating, higher calories and more solid food to this. Plus, your body's kind of cleansing itself because there's a cleanse at the beginning. So that's always rough, but it'll be all good. So as soon as all the tax return money comes in, that is one of the things that I'm buying. The shake stuff and all the supplements, it's like $300 a month. So I'm going to get a full month's supply, and then what I do after that is I switch off of the shake stuff that I'm using into a cheaper version of it. I like using the really good high quality stuff from Herbalife is the brand I use during that first month when I'm cleansing. Because it really helps with the cleanse, and then once I'm on that, I'll switch to a Slim Fast or some other protein shake that isn't as good, to be fair, but it's cheaper and it's easier for me to keep that in stock than spending $300 all the time. But granted, I don't have to spend $300 all the time because that includes all the pills, and the pills for me usually last longer than the month that they're supposed to because I slow down on taking them usually during the cleanse because the cleanse can be pretty intense, but it'll be all good. So when I do start losing weight, the only thing I'm really worried about in losing weight isn't so much these bad boys. I got this fat pudgewel here. I've talked about it before. It happened when I had my hernia, and yeah, the hernia got fixed, but they didn't take that fat pudgewel out. That fat pudgewel is actually really hard fat that's inside your body that helps separate your organs, so the organs aren't like rubbing against each other and causing damage. It protects them, and they didn't take that out because they considered that a cosmetic surgery. That means I would have to spend like $4,000 out of pocket for a plastic surgeon to take that out, and insurance does not cover that. So what's going to suck is the more and more weight I lose, the more and more this is going to become even more sticking out because it's going to eventually look like I have a giant tumor or a giant cyst sitting there on my stomach area as all the fat melts away around it, and that one just sits there hard like that. That I'm not looking forward to. I'm eventually going to have to get it taken care of. I don't know how. I can't afford it. I don't know if I'll ever be able to afford it. Who knows? Maybe I don't know if I should. If I do hit my weight loss goals, maybe that is something we could talk about as a community. If you guys want to fundraise to get rid of that thing, because it's going to stick out in videos too, especially the ones for Prime News where I'm standing up. I can't hide it. So, yeah, something needs to be done about it. It bothers me even now because I have a belly, but like it gets really tight in that area. It's really pressing out. Like if I lifted up my shirt and turned sideways, you could tell like my fat will cut off like right here, and then all of a sudden this whole thing is just that fat chunk. Like God, it probably weighs like 5 pounds on its own. Just removing that alone, I'd lose 5 pounds. But anyways, it's pretty big too. It's like softball size. It's gonna look disgusting once I start losing weight. Whatever. Future problem. All right. Chicken Perm says, why do fools fall in love? I mean, I know that maybe that was a joke question. I don't know. Why does anyone fall in love? Love's a very tricky thing. Love is a term thrown around a lot for things that aren't actually love, whether it's infatuation, whether it's just that kind of puppy love you get at the beginning of a relationship where everything's all hunky-dory when you don't really know each other well and everything's new and everything's exciting. And then after you get to know each other, some of the warts of a person start to come out. And then when you move in together, even more warts come out. And then, you just go through that whole process. So why do fools fall in love? Because everyone wants to be happy, and finding love is just one path to finding happiness. And so that's why some people who maybe are a bit foolish end up falling in love. I know when fools fall in love, I think that's like a saying or something. I remember hearing that when I was a kid. But yeah, I don't know. Just my honest take there. W. James, MCI, says, what would be your ultimate meal? That's tough because I like so many different kinds of foods. Like I really love, tacos, obviously, but then like chicken chimichangas. I like fajitas. Obviously, that's all from the Mexican kind of cuisine or American Mexican cuisine. I really like the teriyaki chicken and rice that you can get at malls. Like I love that stuff. I love steak. Sometimes even a really good salad, especially if it's a salad with that Olive Garden Italian dressing. Oh man. That Olive Garden Italian dressing is to die for. I love that stuff. Man, what would be my ultimate meal? Like, if I could just eat pizza, I love pizza. Like, oh, man, if I could just have anything I want in the whole world, like, right this second. I'm not hungry right now. I guess, I do like going to and this is just me going to Texas Roadhouse because I don't mind cooking it myself, I guess. But it's always nice when you're at a restaurant where someone just does the work for you, even though you pay a premium for it. I like getting like a big, just a big juicy steak. Like give me like a 16-ounce nice cut of steak, boneless preferably, because I just don't like having to deal with the bone, And if you want to, please cut off the fat when you cook it. That's like the good restaurants cut off the fat, so you don't have to deal with that at the table, cutting the fat off. You can cook it with the fat because it helps with the flavor, but then I kind of take care of that before you give it to me, and then sear off the edges. Anyways, sorry, that's just my cook side of myself coming out. So I like to go like Texas Roadhouse and get like a big steak, and then put a bunch of sautéed onions on top. Oh, I love that. And then you just I like getting some nice corn, just some butter corn, just some corn with a little knob of butter in it. And then I'll put a little salt and pepper on the top. And then after that, usually some potato. Sometimes I end up going with like waffle fries. Other times I get a nice baked potato. I will admit I like my baked potatoes I make at home better than restaurants make them. But that's because I use an air fryer at home, and it makes the outside really crispy. I don't like baked potatoes at a lot of places because the outside isn't crispy. The outside is mushy. And in the air fryer, the inside's mushy, but the outside's crispy. And I season the outside with a little bit of olive oil and then just some sea salt. And, oh, man, that way I actually like to cut into the outside and eat it with the baked potato. But, that's me at home. So I guess if I could take that from home with the corn And I prefer it off the cob. I don't mind corn on the cob, but I prefer it off the cob. And then with that steak with sautéed onions, that would probably be my ultimate meal. You could argue my ultimate meal should be like a steak with the onions, with a side of pizza, with a side of teriyaki chicken. But like once you start mixing all my different foods together, they don't start not to taste that good. Your ultimate meal is usually whatever in the moment you're craving. And I haven't had a nice juicy steak from like Texas Roadhouse in a while. I did have a steak like a week ago that I made that it was okay. It wasn't bad. It's just not the same. It's just not the same. And it didn't have sauteed onions, so because I didn't have any onions. And plus, a good saute on onions can actually take some time. If you're actually going to do the saute right, it could take some time. All right. Let me see here. Sonic Man the Best says, "Who is your favorite Metal Gear character?" Is this where I confess I've never played a Metal Gear game? I think it is. So, I mean, my default answer is to say Snake because he's like the only character I know. But I guess Big Boss, isn't that one of the characters? Anyways, yeah, I've never really played a Metal Gear game, to be honest. So, I guess I just default to the main character. Tuna Khan says, will the Queen ever die? I assume you're talking about the Queen in England. Of course, everyone dies eventually. Royalty and rich people tend to live a bit longer unless they have cancer or something because they have the best medical care. And when you have the best medical care, it can often prolong your life because you can get care that us plebs can't always afford. Joe Schmo says, if all the games that were already revealed to be set for 2019 will be the full 2019 Nintendo lineup. Now, this question came before the Direct. So we already know there's some additional games like Link's Awakening and stuff coming. No new first-party game announced for 2019. What do I think the sales will be? Even before the Direct, I thought the sales were going to be 20 million at least. I think I projected 23 to 24 million in the past, so I'm going to kind of stick by that. I think it's 24. So I'm going to stick by 24 million that I said before. That's what I think for the next fiscal year it will be. Now, for just 2019, that's a little different because you're going to have the current quarter. I try to go by Nintendo's fiscal quarters because they plan their games based on their fiscal year, not on like a calendar year. So they don't base their releases on, oh, it's 2019. They base their releases on, oh, our fiscal year starts in April and then runs through March. So that's the way I kind of do my projections. So in the next fiscal year for Nintendo, 24 million is what I projected before. I'm going to stick with that projection. We'll see. Maybe I'm over-projecting. I have no idea. Let's see here. Dungeon Master Z390 says, on an earlier episode I asked what you think will happen to the Paper Mario franchise. I suppose I meant, what creative direction do you think the series would take? Old, super, sticker, new, etc. If you think it's going in a new direction, any ideas you have? I think they're going to stick with like the sticker, star, color splash direction because that's just been what they've been doing. It feels like they just release a Paper Mario game whenever they feel like they need a filler, and it takes them almost no time to make it, and they just kind of cookie cutter it now based on sticker, star, and color splash. I wish it would go back to the old style personally, back when it felt like a truly unique franchise that cared a lot about itself. It was more RPG-like, I think is a better way to describe it. But what are you going to do? Like Paper Mario, 1,000 Year Door, or whatever it was. But that's just not what they do with it now. It's kind of become, they've kind of settled into it being a bastardized version of what the game was originally, or what the franchise was originally, and they're just going to stick with it if they make any more of them at all, because the Color Splash obviously did not perform very well. Mark Tessa T-Sats Foolis, I totally butchered that, I'm sure. It says, love the channel, first off. Thank you so much, my man. Or woman. I think you're a man. Mark, I think Mark could be a female name, but usually, like, I have family members that are named Mark, and they're all guys. So, anyways, my question is this. Is Skyward Sword HD going to be a real thing this year? Or should we plan on a new Zelda of some kind, keep up the good work? Obviously, this is before the Direct. The answer is clearly no. We're getting Link's Awakening this year, so Skyward Sword HD, highly likely not happening this year. I'm starting to wonder if it's going to happen at all. It's really strange. It like last year, even when it might have been a good year for it. But Jackson Alley says, "Are jorts still cool? Haven't been outside in a while. Were jorts ever cool? I mean, let's just be honest. Were they ever cool?" Fire Ninja 606 says, will Nintendo ever run out of original ideas for their games? Looking at a game series like Mario, it's done possibly everything it could do, from exploring a castle to an island, from a vast open world, and even space itself. What could Nintendo possibly think of next for the series? And also like a New York style city now. So in New Donk City, I think no. The reason that I'm going to say no is that there's always something new, something fresh. Even like the Cappy thing, like that was a new thing, like taking over people for your abilities rather than getting power-ups. Like that was a new thing. I don't think they're ever going to run out of original ideas for their games, even including Mario, because they always have new people working on those games, and the younger developers always come up with their own stuff, and I think that's what keeps it fresh. So no. And plus Mario can seemingly do anything. It's like one of the rare IPs out there that Nintendo could just like, oh, I have an idea. Oh, Mario can do that, and it just works. I mean, literally Splatoon was going to be a Mario game. But they decided at one point in development that maybe they should try it as a new IP. So, yeah, I honestly, I don't think they're ever going to run out of ideas for Mario or any of their games. It doesn't mean that they won't. When I say that, that doesn't mean that certain franchises won't get stale for a while. Like, you can get some franchises that start to get iterative and don't seem like they have any fresh new ideas and new concepts. But I don't think that's going to remain that way forever. I think that's just usually built on laziness or just trying to rush a game out versus them actually being out of ideas. Next up here, City Escape says, why do you keep drinking Mountain Dew and Coke? Sugar is bad for you, and you should probably lose weight. You mean like this? Mountain Dew Game Fuel. I like it. Obviously, I have an addiction to caffeine and sugar. I mean, I think that's... even like the fake sugar, that's probably worse for you than regular sugar. Obviously, I have an addiction to sugar and caffeine. I'm not dumb. I know this. I'm not like fooling myself that I don't have a problem. Even though these have some juice and some vitamins in it, bottom line is there's still a bunch of caffeine. There's still a bunch of sugar. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's bad for you. Now, I will say this: sugar itself is not bad for you. It is the excessive intake of sugar that's bad for you. So it's just like salt. Salt is good for you. We need salt. We need sugar. But the amounts we need, we mostly as a society, we massively eat more salt and more sugar, those particular two things, than we need, period. Like on a daily basis, you might have a month's worth of sugar and salt. It's insane. That being said, or I should say sodium, to be more correct than just plain old salt. Yeah, I obviously have a problem, and I know it's a problem. I have been drinking more water. It's just been happening. I'm tired of having that. When you drink so much caffeine and stuff, and sugar stuff, you always have that feeling that you're always thirsty. And I don't like that feeling. And as I'm working towards getting on that new diet, it does involve more water. So, yeah, I don't know that I'll ever cut out sugar and caffeine drinks entirely. I mean, I might give them a break for a month or two. Just to drop a quick 20 pounds, because you could drop, like, you literally, like, if I just cut drinks like this cold turkey for a month, I drop 20 pounds. It's crazy. It's crazy how much like the 20 pounds that these kind of drinks add to my weight. But yeah, I'm eventually gonna cut back, go cold turkey, and then when I get back into it, only have maybe a can a day, which for me is a huge cutback from normal. So yeah, the bottom line is, I don't need caffeine. You can get more energy without caffeine, but I do get a lack of sleep. And honestly, the lack of sleep is what leads to the caffeine consumption. That's what it's allowed to do with my whole life, especially the last 8 years as a parent. So as my kids get better about sleeping and not waking up in the middle of the night, and my work schedule gets a bit more calm, and I get better sleep, then I'll be able to really cut back on the caffeine, because I will feel more refreshed when I wake up instead of feeling groggy. Some of that grogginess is obviously from the caffeine, but when I have gone cold turkey and I just did water, I would still feel groggy sometimes because I wasn't getting enough sleep, and that sucks. So there'll always be some form of caffeine in my life. I don't like coffee. I don't like any of that stuff. So this is what I do. I'm sorry. People are going to disagree with my life choices. It's okay. Nothing I can do about that. Let's see here. Shadow King 1982 asks, you have talked in the past about Mario Maker on Switch, but considering how much traction that Zelda Maker fan game was getting, I think it's called Legend Maker now. Wouldn't a Nintendo Maker be better? Start off with Mario and Zelda, then later add Kirby and, if possible, Metroid. Yes and no. Obviously, a Nintendo Maker, like a Super Smash Bros. Style Nintendo Maker game, would be sweet. It'd be really difficult to do, though. Mario, like even if you just look at like platformers, right? So if you go like Mario, Kirby, Metroid, just the 2D ones platforming wise, it would be really hard because there's so many unique elements between all those different games that they could do it, but there'd be so much content for each one. Why wouldn't they release it on its own for $60? Now, obviously, we know we're getting Mario Maker 2. But yeah, I honestly don't think there's much you can do about that. I'm sorry. That they're just going to keep doing it individually. There's too much money to be made doing them as individual things. And right now, it's just Mario Maker. I don't know if they even planning like a Zelda Dungeon Maker or a Kirby Maker. Like, I don't know. I don't know if they ever plan to make it more than just Mario, to be honest. Zeus Woos says, what's more likely for Switch, a port of Resident Evil 7 Gold Edition or Resident Evil 2 Remake? I don't think either are likely at this point, but probably Resident Evil 2 Remake. Just because there's like a history of Resident Evil 2 on Nintendo platforms, so it makes a bit more sense. But I don't think either are coming, to be honest. Dinkles, who has a hashtag Banjo-Kazooie for Smash, says, do you think Mother 3 is being localized for the West on the Switch? No, it's not. Sorry. Dennis clearly says, if Mario and Luigi had a sister, what do you think her name would be? I'll go with Maria. Maria. I'm trying to think of an Italian name, and I can't right now. So, what's Mario and Luigi are based on Italian names. I'm trying to think of like what's a popular female Italian name, and I honestly don't know. Wow, you actually have me stumped. I can't believe I can't think of like a popular. It would be a popular Italian female name, and I can't think of one. Mr. Doctor says, why are Battle Royale games so popular? I tried Fortnite, but it was so boring. Battle Royale games are kind of the new, kind of like the new mobile games in the sense that you pick up and play. They're quick, 15 minutes or less usually, unless you happen to be winning. But most matches you're going to experience in 15 minutes or less. They give a lot of elements from games that people like, such as shooting, third-person shooting, first-person shooting. People like those kind of games. Those have been popular for a long time, so you have elements of that. You have elements of surprise, where you're not always sure what your weapon loadout's going to be every single time. You don't even know what weapons you're going to run into. So there's that randomness factor to it that people really enjoy. And then, in addition to all of that, it's just... it's fun in a way that it's basically, when you play the game, you're either going to think it's fun or you're not. And now they're even starting to offer variety, like Apex that came out. What was it, Apex Legends or something? That game is more like Overwatch, but in a Battle Royale style. So if you don't really like the Battle Royale style games like the Fortnites or the PUBGs, but then you try out, but you really like Overwatch, there's a chance you might actually like Apex Legends better, because Apex Legends is an Overwatch-style Battle Royale game. So now we're starting to see some variety in the Battle Royale games. Not that there wasn't variety before, but the variety felt maybe a bit artificial. It was basically, well, Epic is a developer that has more money, so they made a better version of what PUBG was trying to do. And then obviously you had the Call of Duty, the Black Ops or the Blackout mode or whatever, that ended up being really, really good. But it's a yearly Call of Duty game, so like it feels like there's a shelf life on that. Like when the next Call of Duty comes out, who's going to still be playing Blackout? Because Blackout should have just been its own thing, released separately from Call of Duty, in my opinion. But whatever. So if you don't like Battle Royale games, you don't like Battle Royale games. But for people, it's just like anything. You're not required to like things just because they're popular. I really enjoy Battle Royale games. I like the quick pickup nature. If I just have an urge to like pick up and play a game quick, and just not be fully committed to a whole night of it, it's really easy to just hop in a match of Fortnite or a couple matches and call it a day. It's just kind of a nice way to clear out my head a little bit. That's really the reason that I still play Fortnite once in a while. Edward Norton said, what is the point of having Xbox Live coming to Switch, and will it affect the third-party Vivox? So Vivox is that company that has made a voice chat and stuff like that possible for third-party games locally on Switch. The point of having Xbox Live, I've talked about this before, and I'll just repeat it again. I think it's about something coming in the future, aka game streaming. I think Xbox contacted Nintendo and said, hey, we're launching this game streaming service. We don't know what you guys are thinking, but if you don't have any plans for it, like, would you like us to have our game streaming service on your platform? And I think Nintendo's like, yeah, what do you need for that? Oh, we just need to have Xbox Live on your system, and they can log into Xbox Live through an app on your system and access it that way. And Nintendo said, yeah, sure, why not? We don't care about that. That's more value for us, as long as, like, if people have to subscribe to something to access those games, you know, we get our 30% cut of the subscription fee or whatever it is. And Microsoft's probably going to be like, yeah, more money is better than no money. So that's what I think is going to happen. I have no proof or evidence for it, but to me, it's the next logical step, because we know Microsoft is launching a streaming service. This says, do I have to pay a separate subscription service in order to play my Xbox games on my Switch? Yes. But you're not playing Xbox games per se. You're not like, I doubt Microsoft would bring like Crackdown 3. I know it's not getting good reviews, but bring Crackdown 3 to Switch through that service. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think for third-party games that are on that service, yes. So you'll have to pay a fee for that. Yes, absolutely. They're not just going to give you those games for free. Frosty says, what are your thoughts on Joker coming to Smash Bros? Forgive me if you've already talked about it. I haven't heard you talk about it, though. Well, I talked about it, obviously, back when it was announced. I think it's interesting in that Persona's never been associated with Nintendo at all. So having Joker on Switch is a good representation. It also means that anything from Japan is possible. So, you know, who's to say what can be the rest of that DLC, and the fact that Nintendo chose Joker themselves. Like, this wasn't Sakurai, this was Nintendo. Nintendo chose these DLC characters. So I think it's really cool, and I hope it means we're going to get some Persona games on Switch. I really, really hope that's what this means. 10-0 says, what do you prefer, Mario or Link? That's not even a question for me. It's Link all the way. I'm a Zelda guy. He's my, you know, I don't know if he's my favorite character per se, but in comparison to Mario to Link all the way. Nintendork, literally the number 10, said, here are a few questions regarding Gen 8 Pokemon. Oh, here we go. Do you think the Pokemon Bank will be brought to Switch, and why? Yes, because Pokemon Bank is something used in all the other generations, obviously not Let's Go. I think that is, why wouldn't they be doing that? I don't think they're getting rid of Pokemon Bank. They make money from Pokemon Bank, so that'll absolutely be brought over. Do you think it will be this year or next? They already said that Generation 8 is coming this year, at the end of this year, and they've repeatedly said it's coming at the end of this year, so it's going to be the end of this year. It's literally Nintendo's big holiday title. So, yes, it is this year. Do you think it will be compatible with Let's Go? I think you will be able to transfer your Pokemon from Let's Go to that game in some form. It might not be directly to the bank. Maybe it's if you have a save file of it on your Switch, you can log into that save file, and then there'll be a transfer option in there to transfer to your other save, or something like that. I'm not exactly sure how they would make it work, but yes, I believe you will be able to transfer Pokemon from Let's Go to Gen 8. Heck, you might even be able to transfer all your Pokemon from Pokemon Go to Gen 8. That's not something people are talking about, but that might be possible. And it says, do you think players will be able to transfer Pokemon from the 3DS bank to the new Switch bank? I think it's all going to be one bank. I don't think there's going to be like a new Switch bank. It's just going to be the same bank. It's just going to be the same bank on Switch. So yes, absolutely. They've always let you bring over your old Pokemon from older gens to the new gens. So yes, they are going to allow you to do that. I don't think you have to worry about that. They've never given us any indication that they were going to do anything differently. Joy-Con Nation asks, how are you liking your Xbox One X? There's the box for the bad boy right there. And how does it stack up to your PC? What games do you have, and how do they look in your perspective having a PC? And are the Nintendo Ninjas after you yet for enjoying a non-Nintendo product? I'm typing this from Reggie's office. Send help. So I like the Xbox One X. There are things I don't like about it, but there's things I just don't like about PlayStation 4 and Xbox in general right now. Like game installs, I hate game installs. I know we deal with it on PC, and maybe it's something I'll get used to, but right now on PC, game installs still feel smoother than they do on Xbox and PlayStation, plus they don't take as long, whether it's from a disc or a download. So there's that. But besides that, there's just little quirks like, it happens with PCs sometimes too. Like if your PC goes into sleep mode and you come back out of sleep mode, sometimes some of the applications aren't working correctly and you have to reboot your computer. It's dumb. Same thing's true with the Xbox One X. Like if it goes into sleep mode while I'm playing Madden, and I come and I wake up to switch out of sleep mode, it's like Madden's still there and it's working and the scrolling and the music's there, the icons are flashing, but like the controller input's not working anymore. So like you have to go and exit, you have to like force quit Madden and then restart it. That might just be a Madden specific thing, but it's still annoying. But besides that, I really enjoy the Xbox One X. Now you asked me, how does it stack up to your PC? The thing about it is that my PC is hooked up to two 4K monitors, whereas they're like 27-inch 4K monitors, whereas the Xbox One X is hooked up to like a 55-inch 4K TV, it's a 55-inch or 57. I don't know. Maybe it's a weird one. I can't remember. I didn't buy it. My parents did. So just like they bought the Xbox One, they bought me the TV last year and the Xbox One X this year for Christmas. I think that it's fine. It's convenient. It works fast enough. I love that I can play 4K Blu-rays now. I did not have a 4K Blu-ray player in the house. In fact, the only Blu-ray player I have right now, I lost the remote for it, and so I can't even use it. I hate how that Blu-ray players, some Blu-ray, like cheaper Blu-ray players are that way. Like if you lose the remote, you're just kind of screwed. So, I mean, there's probably a universal remote out there I could program to it. But yeah, I like Xbox One X. The only games I have legitimately played on it are NBA Live 19. Didn't like it. It very clearly is behind NBA 2K in one crucial aspect. I like creating my own team, like literally creating your own court, your own jerseys, and all that stuff, and adding that team into franchise mode. You can't do that in NBA Live. It instantly made me not want to play it. But I did play a couple games on it. It plays fine. The gameplay's all right. It's different than 2K's gameplay, I'll say that. And then Madden 19, I've played on it. Madden 19 is also one I played on PC, so that's a good comparison one. And then I have been slowly playing some Red Dead Redemption 2. Those are the only games I really have on the platform right now. I do have Xbox Game Pass for a year, so I probably will eventually dive into some games on there. I have played Sea of Thieves on PC, so maybe I'll eventually download Sea of Thieves on Xbox and play that, especially now that it has a lot more content. I'll probably try Crackdown 3 eventually through Game Pass 2, even though I know it's not getting good reviews. But anyways, how do I like it? I like it a lot. When it works great. I love the Xbox One controller. I know you can use it with PC, and I have used it with PC, but I have so much stuff plugged into my PC because of my work that I just, like, there's a mixer, like, oh my gosh. Maybe someday, when I finally finish cleaning this office entirely, it needs a deep clean, I'll take a picture of just the mess of wires I have that I eventually should cable manage, because it is crazy, and just throwing another wired controller or a wired dongle, it's a hassle for me. So personally, I like the Xbox One X the way it is. So that's I'm pretty okay with it. Besides the game installs and the frustrating having to like sleep mode issue. The UI, I'm not a big fan of Xbox One's UI, but I'm not a fan of PlayStation 4's either. I really just like Switch's, like more phone-like UI, tap an icon and go. But that's just me, personal preferences. I'm enjoying it a lot. As for like games and how they play, like Madden's the only one I can directly compare right now. I will say this: there is still a convenience with home consoles over PC. When you install Madden 19 from Origin on your PC, it does have some default settings. Like it'll detect your hardware and like set the settings up for it, and it runs fine. But I can't help it on PC. I like to tinker. So like it won't default to 4K resolution even though I'm using a 4K monitor. So then like I up it to 4K. And as soon as you up it to 4K, you got to mess with every setting in the game to try to get it right. It's annoying. You're not really ever sure what the frame rate is unless you're running like an FPS counter. And then if you're running an FPS counter, the FPS counters itself actually affects the FPS of the games too. So then like you're kind of hurting yourself, and it's just it's a pain in the butt. Whereas Xbox One X has the simplicity: you just boot the game up and it works, and it's running at 60 FPS, and I don't have to worry about it. And that's just with Madden. I think Madden 19 looks gorgeous on Xbox One X. I'm not sure that I noticed much of a discernible difference between that game on Xbox One X and it on PC. Personally didn't notice much of a difference in terms of the look of the game. But that might just be an EA thing. It might not be a good use case. I probably should maybe Sea of Thieves will be a better use case. My PC experience to the Xbox One X experience. But honestly, the Xbox One X, the games look pretty damn good. Even like Red Dead Redemption 2 looks phenomenal. And while I'm sure it can look better or will look better on PC, I'm not sure the difference is going to be something I care about. The only differences on PC that are nice are obviously higher frame rates for certain games. Fortnite, it's nice to have a higher frame rate than Switch has, even though I play it primarily on Switch and stuff like that. But whatever. And that's actually the last question. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to Prime Answers. It's been real. It's been fun. And as always, folks, I'll catch you in the next one.